Coming up on Bloom, we're diving into the docu-series Biohack Yourself, featuring changemakers like Dr. Daniel Amen.
If you want to live a long time, you have to make better decisions consistently over time, which comes from a healthy brain.
And I sit down with the creators about their mission to heal. Plus, meet a contributor to yet another documentary, Shield, which means she healed. We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We're going behind the scenes of a new health documentary getting a lot of attention. Biohack Yourself, Life Spanning Our Vitality. The docu-series is a collaboration between biohackers, scientists, and experts to uncover longevity secrets. Experts who are exploring ways to achieve healthy lives accessible to average households. So today, we're talking to these experts to find out firsthand what we can do to live healthier lives. And a top contributor to the documentary is psychiatrist and 12-time New York Times bestselling author, Dr. Daniel Amen, who is the founder of the famous Amen Clinics, bringing groundbreaking and effective techniques to better your mental health. Dr. Amen, it is such an honor to have you on Bloom again. Thanks for being here.
Well, I'm so honored. Thanks for having me.
So I know you played a big role in the docu-series. Talk to me about the importance of brain health and biohacking.
Well, your brain controls everything you do, how you think, how you feel, how you act, every decision you make. And if you want to live a long time, you have to make better decisions consistently over time, which comes from a healthy brain.
And you break it down in 3 very important strategies when it comes to brain health.
So it starts with brain envy. You have to want a better brain. I always say Freud was wrong. Penis envy is not the cause of anybody's problem. I've not seen it once in 46 years as a psychiatrist. What you need to learn to love and want to be better is your brain. But nobody cares about their brain. Why? You can't see it. You can see the wrinkles in your skin or the fat around your belly and do something when you're unhappy. At Amen Clinics, I have 11 clinics around the country. We do brain imaging work. And when I first looked at my scan, 1990, it was not as healthy as it could be. And I wanted a better brain. So that's step 1. Step 2 is avoid anything that hurts your brain or that accelerates aging. And we have been sold a lie in this country that alcohol is a health food. Nope, it promotes aging. That marijuana is innocuous. Nope, it promotes aging. That being overweight or obese promotes aging. We really should be working toward a healthy weight. So when you just ask yourself this one question, is this good for my brain or bad for it? And if you can answer that, and we do this in the documentary, with information and love, you just start doing the right things. And that's step 3, which is engage in regular brain healthy habits. And so when you go to eat something, go, do I love it? And does it love me back? When you think of staying up late to watch another season on Netflix, it's like, no, go to bed early. Because when you sleep, your brain cleans and washes itself. So you just start making better decisions, all based in love.
Dr. Amen, I wanted to ask you just to circle back real quick about, not drinking. I mean, I think finally the word is getting out there about how detrimental this can be, not only to your body of triggering cancer, but to your brain. But it has been replaced with this new THC-infused beverages on the market. And from what I'm hearing you say, That's not great either.
No, teenagers who use marijuana have an increased incidence of anxiety, depression, and suicide in their 20s. There's a 450% increased risk of psychosis for teenagers who use. I published a study on 1,000 marijuana users. Every area of their brain is lower in blood flow, which means it's prematurely aging their brain. Brand new study in JAMA Psychiatry on another 1,000 patients who use marijuana, and it decreased activity in the memory centers of their brain. So we've been sold this lie that marijuana is innocuous. I mean, for some people, when my mother-in-law had cancer, terminal cancer, we got her marijuana gummies so she'd eat. So there are appropriate uses for it, but let's not say it's innocuous because it is not.
Yeah, yeah. And we used it for my mom at end of life, and it was just a game changer for her. But to your point, the abuse of it is not good for the brain. I want to go back to the documentary now. We were looking at clips of it, and it was funny. One stood out to us where you said, the don't worry, be happy people die earliest, and having a little bit of anxiety is not necessarily a terrible thing.
So a lot of people come to me and they go, help me get rid of my anxiety. And I'm like, no, that's not a good goal. Let's take it from 80 on a scale of 0 to 100, and let's take it down to 15. Because in a large study from Stanford, so they started this study in 1921, looking at what goes with success, health, and longevity in 10-year-olds. And they actually found that don't worry, be happy people died the earliest from accidents and preventable illnesses. It was the people who were conscientious who lived the longest. So if you said we were going to show up and you showed up consistently, reliably, predictably, you live longer than everyone else. So some anxiety is good, but too much obviously is bad for you.
Okay, good. Then I'm going to be living to about 150. Dr. Amen, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to share this story on BloomTampaBay.com. And coming up on Bloom, meet the creators and storytelling powerhouses of Biohack Yourself and their mission to uncover longevity secrets for a healthier life. Bloom will be right back. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-212-6993 to schedule your scan today. We are back taking a deep dive into the new documentary series, Biohack Yourself, that is bringing together doctors, scientists, and health industry experts to uncover longevity secrets. Joining me now are the creators of Biohack Yourself, Anthony Lollis and Teresa Jacobian-Lollis. It's such a pleasure to have you both here on Bloom. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So as you guys know, we've dedicated our whole 1-hour show today because we're so excited about your docu-series. You were able to pull together so many leading experts that it's now more than just one part, right?
Yes. It's 5 parts, over 114 experts. And what we do differently is that we do experiential documentaries. We put ourselves through the protocol and really cultivate it and establish deep, intimate relationships with these practitioners.
And what they're doing is very cutting edge. And I think a lot of us, including myself, until I started doing this show and I was doing news, I was kind of stuck in the dinosaur age of healthcare and not seeing the needle move. So what you're trying to do is to bring viewers hope that there are other ways to heal, and they work.
Yeah, not only hope, but real experience, right? We became real believers when our son Legend was born, and he had a few autoimmune conditions, which was misdiagnosed 9 times. Now, you're going to Western medicine practices, and you're hoping they'll give you the same answer over and over and over because they're trained the same. but it was the complete opposite. We were misdiagnosed 9 times with crazy titles, labels, and being given medication that was also, later on we found out, had we given those medications, he would have ended up with certain other conditions and side effects. So we turned to alternative medicine and functional medicine and literally were able to eradicate all of his conditions. Later on, our daughter also had a lymph node on her neck, which was, we were supposed to rush in and cut it and biopsy it and do all these invasive things. We turned into, functional medicine again. We were able to eradicate that. And his obesity as well, he struggled with obesity for 40 years. And through nutrition and healthy habits, we were able to eradicate. As you can see, he lost 125 pounds in 9 months. So we're true believers in functional medicine, alternative medicine. It saved our family. So we're here to simplify things and gather vetted and credited experts and kind of deliver it on a silver platter for our audience.
Yeah, and we kicked off the show with the famous Dr. Daniel Amen, who did say, he said, Gayle, it's not that I'm against, Western medicine or medications when needed, but what I am saying is we need to explore these alternatives, and we need to do so with a lot of vigor because people are stuck. They're sick, they're obese, they're foggy, they're depressed. I mean, there's a lot going on with our healthcare that we can see just by looking at the numbers. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, what we did with this documentary series is we curated the best of the best, so you don't have to look any further because there's a lot of information out there with TikTok and social media, and just because you can really articulate it doesn't mean you're an expert in it. So in this documentary, we kind of removed the fluff and just went with, these are the people, we're meeting with them, we're actually working with them, and you can work with them too.
So how will you get this docu-series out? I mean, we're excited to be talking about it here on Bloom, but how can the average Joe out there watch this and absorb all this information?
Immediately, it's on Amazon Prime right now. It's also on Fossum, and there's people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in it, Dr. Daniel Amen, Dave Asprey, Dr. Joe Mercola, like everyone that now the HHS is really advocating for to have a voice in the community.
Yeah, and I don't care what side of the political spectrum you are on. I saw a very refreshing poll that well over 60% of Americans really do want to make this country healthy again. I mean,
yes.
We're very sick. I think and again, I just don't quote me on this, but we take more pharmaceuticals than all other countries combined. I mean, we really are sick and something's got to change.
Yeah, absolutely. We hit the rock bottom, and that's kind of exciting because from then on it's just up, and it's just the perfect timing with RFK Jr. and the MAHA movement and the new administration and just the biohacking world also oozing to explode into the mainstream masses. It's perfect timing.
Well, you are starting to see it more and more mainstream because I think, a lot of people, obviously, they have their insurance, they have their primary health, physician, they have all of those things, but people are paying out of pocket now to feel better. And just like what you're saying, if you looked at my picture 5 years ago in my early 50s and then compared it to what I look like today at 58, you would see a big difference. And it's because I'm turning to the very experts that are featured, in your documentary or ones like them. So
Correct.
It works.
It works. And if you know better, you can do better. And that was the whole purpose, is really, while we're going through it and meeting these people, we wanted the world to see them as well.
Real quick, what do you say to the people, and we don't have a lot of time, who think it's too expensive, it's dangerous? What's your message to them?
Well, we dive deep into the free biohacks, sunlight, grounding, water structuring, just mental health. I mean, these things are free. Air, quality, just environmental toxins, and really understanding your environment and how it correlates to your body.
Also, it can be expensive when you're uninformed, once again. So information and understanding what is it that you actually need could be cost effective. There's plenty of companies that are making infrared saunas portable for your house that cost below $1,000, right? There's hormone replacement therapy that we discovered during filming SHIELD that many women thrive on that, right?
You're looking at one.
Right? I mean, and the cost is just barely $200 for 3 months supply. If you are lacking testosterone, get some bioavailable testosterone. So we've discovered that it's not expensive at all.
All right, this is great stuff. All right, we're going to share more about Biohack Yourself on BloomTampaBay.com, and we'll be back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now 813-212-6993 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. SHIELD, which stands for She Healed, is the brainchild of award-winning producers Anthony and Teresa Lolly of Lolly Brands Entertainment, and celebrity nutrition expert and fitness Hall of Famer JJ Virgin is playing a major role in this health movement. It's great to see you, JJ.
It's good to be here.
So you say a lot of biohacking that works for men doesn't necessarily work for women, and this is kind of your area of expertise.
There's a exercise physiologist, Dr. Stacy Sims, who says, you know, women are not small men, and we are different. In a lot of these biohacks, it was a male-led movement. And it's been fantastic. It's making people aware that there are small things that you can do that can have a big shift on your physiology. Most of them are actually things that don't cost a lot of money, which is, I think, unbeknownst to a lot of people, they think biohacking's for the rich. It's like, no, it could be the way you move, the way you meditate, the way you sleep. There's one in particular I'm going to pull out, and you'll be thrilled to hear this.
Okay.
Here's the one that women have to be careful about. Those crazy ice baths.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I was so happy to find this out too, because we got a cold plunge, and I'm in there and I'm distracting myself. I'm in there 10 minutes. We have it outside. It's 48 degrees, and I'm cold all day long afterwards. My toes feel like ice rocks, right? And come to find out that women really shouldn't do it for more than 2 to 4 minutes. We should have a higher temperature, somewhere between like 52 and 60. Smaller capillaries, you know, not as good for us. And that's just one example.
Okay, which I'm glad to hear you say that, because it's torture for me to sit in, you know, in a cold plunge, and I'm glad you brought it up that you have to approach biohacking with what's good for your body, doing your research. For me, I have hypothyroidism, so I really don't stay in a cold plunge for more than like a minute, 30 seconds to a minute.
We are N of ones. That's the whole point of biohacking, is we're an N of one, and you'll look at all of the information, and you'll also look at what are the problems I'm trying to solve. You know, am I trying to put on muscle? Am I trying to have more energy? Do those things that work for that, not just because the latest influencers like in the cold plunge for 20 minutes.
Right. And you know what I love about you, and of course you've been such a great contributor to Bloom for so many years, but you teach women practical things that they can do. And for me, being 58, you know, my bone health and my muscles mean everything to me, because it's going to keep me moving. And I mean, anything from the right supplements that we should be using, like your creatine, all of these different things. There are small behavioral changes that we can do down to our grip. When you told me about grip strength, I tested mine, and it was terrible. And then a bone scan showed osteopenia. So I have completely pivoted my life into following your advice when it comes to building stronger bones.
And see, this is a perfect example of how to use biohacking. You heard about grip strength. People with the lowest grip strength, in the 25th quartile, have the highest risk of all-cause mortality, because grip strength is a proxy for overall strength, and really you lose strength before you lose. By the time you've lost bone mineral density, you've been losing muscle mass all along. So now you know what you need to do to fix this. And then you have, of course, your nice little hand grip dynamometer. This is like $30, and it is a great way to see if you are improving. It's not to say go squeeze a tennis ball. Go lift some heavy things, right?
Right, which is what you talk about. You talked a lot on Bloom about even snackable exercises.
Yes.
Like if you're a woman that can't spend an hour in the gym, that's okay. You can do small bursts of activities throughout your regular day.
Yeah, that great study that came out on vigorous intermittent lifestyle physical activity, VILPA, exercise snacks as we like to call them, showed that 4.5 to 10 minutes a day in 1 to 2 minute increments could reduce your all-cause mortality by 40 to 50%. Crazy. So that's as simple as you get up in the morning, brush your teeth, do some air squats. Have breakfast, do some jumping jacks. Have lunch, do some push-ups. You know, just connect habit stack, connect something you're already doing with a little exercise snack, And it is mind-blowing what this can do for your body.
I've seen it firsthand, and I'm not just saying it because you're sitting in the seat, but I've been following your practices, I've been taking your supplements, and I've seen some dramatic changes in the way I look and in the way I feel. So what we're going to do is we're going to share this story on bloomtampabay.com, and JJ is sticking around for an extended discussion with the change makers rolling out Biohack Yourself and Shield. Plus, we're bringing back world-renowned psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Amen. And later on Bloom, meet another leader in the health and wellness space who is featured in Biohack Yourself, Ben Azadi, who is sharing how the body has the power to heal. Bloom, we'll be right back. We are back with the thought leaders in the health and wellness space who are part of a movement to help us heal. Here to debunk some of the most common misconceptions about biohacking are the creators of Biohack Yourself and Shield, Anthony Lollis and Teresa Jacobian-Lolly, celebrity nutrition expert and fitness hall of famer JJ Virgin, and the founder of the famous Amen Clinics, Dr. Daniel Amen. Thank you all for being here. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So Dr. Amen, we're going to start with you first and foremost. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that biohacking is only for the wealthy, but even down to the foods we eat, there are ways to biohack our brains.
Well, biohack, it just means to use the latest information to improve a part of you. And if you want to use the latest information, your brain's involved in everything you do, how you think, how you feel, how you act, how you get along with other people. And when it works right, you work right. And when it doesn't, you don't. So all biohacking, in fact, Dave Asprey, who's also in the documentary, got a SPECT scan about 16 years ago. And it was terrible. And at the time he was feeling terrible, and that started him on a journey to have a better brain and a better life. And 13 years later, I did a follow-up scan on him. His brain's dramatically better as his life is dramatically better.
Yeah, and that's why it was so important as part of this docu-series to have Dr. Amen threaded throughout, because our brain really is at the center of everything.
Absolutely, it's the decision-making organ. And, you know, working with Dr. Amen and his supplements and just doing the scan, we really got a chance to understand how our mind works, and then the body followed.
And it was really important to find out that even from the early ages, you really need to cherish your brain. Every fall, every sport, every wrong decision can manifest into some unpleasant surprises later in age, and that's what Dr. Daniel Amen taught us. So currently, for example, for our children, we don't engage them in certain sports, even though they want to, and even though those are fashionable and good for their athleticism. But understanding that brain is an organ and you need to really take care of it from day one was very important to us.
Yeah, I have 4 daughters. All 4 of them were theater geeks. That was their sport. JJ, you were also part of a different documentary that you talked about earlier on Bloom, Shield. And this is something that you dedicate a lot of your life to when it comes to helping women biohack their health.
First of all, how exciting is it that you two have taken on women's health, which has been so undervalued, right? And when I think of biohacking, again, just like Dr. Daniel Amen just talked about, it's really connecting the dots. It's understanding how what you think or what you're eating or how you're sleeping is impacting your health and well-being and ultimately your longevity. And it turns out that some of the best biohacks out there are the simplest things too.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Dr. Amen, do you think this is going to become more of a movement in this country? Because I think, you know, when you boil it down, if you break a limb or you need a surgery, you call a doctor. But a lot of people are starting to realize that just having a prescription, it doesn't work. It leaves people down a rabbit hole they don't want to be in.
Well, my vision, and I'm so happy RFK Jr. is leading HHS now. And my proposal to the White House is to make 2025 to 2035 the decade of brain health, We need to change the conversation in this country away from the mental illness epidemic to one that's more inspirational and hopeful and accurate, which is we need to get people to love and care for their brains. And I think that should come from the highest levels of government.
I would agree with that. And it comes back down to the foods we eat, the way we treat our bodies, and yeah, I mean, discovering some of these hacks that you guys are bringing to the forefront.
Absolutely. Dr. Amen mentioned Bobby Kennedy. You know, his first day on the job, he announced, hey, we don't have to subscribe to the old way of thinking. We can change things. We're open for conversation and different interpretation. And I think nutrition really affects mental health. And then obviously, if we handle that, we can make America healthy again.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of nutrition affecting mental health, and Dr. Amen's been my son's doctor for years, and I still remember getting a call from the school because they said you had to come pick up your son. He was climbing the walls. Well, they'd given him M&Ms. And I'm like, no, you get to keep him till this wears off.
That's funny.
Any other common misconceptions that you want viewers to hear about when it comes to biohacking?
Yeah.
You know, I think all the misconceptions come from being undereducated, underinformed, completely confused, and overwhelmed. I'm in all the moms groups you can think about. We've changed 5 different schools, so I know how moms think, and they're just extremely overwhelmed. It's infobesity all over the place, especially about biohacking, healthy being, and longevity. It's the TikTok mom, it's the Instagram influencer. Who do you listen to, right? So then they just rely on these misconceptions, and they say, this is for the rich, I don't want it. Okay, this is for the tech savvy, I don't want it. Or this is woo-woo, I don't want it. But this is where we come in, where we are such believers in alternative medicine and biohacking and functional medicine throughout our journeys. And we are actually simplifying everything, even engaging our own children to interview people like Dr. Danielle Amen to say, hey, it's not that difficult to understand. It's not intimidating. You just need to come to one place where we're actually doing all the vetting of experts and products and services and information. So you just need to find your source and get credible information.
Okay, by the way, I'm talking to 4 people who know Robert Kennedy and have him dialed in. I think the Bloom emails are falling in his junk email, but we'd really love to have him on one day because we are very excited about the future of health in America. So thanks to all of you for being with us for this great conversation. Thank you, Dr. Amen.
Thank you, everybody. Great to see you all.
All right. And if you want to watch this conversation, just head to bloomtampabay.com, and we'll be right back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now, 813-212-6993 to schedule your scan today. We are back, deep diving into a new docu-series, Biohack Yourself. And our next guest is part of the movement to help people heal from within. Joining me now is functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner Ben Azadi, also known as the Health Detective, who is sharing his personal journey from obesity to fit and the power of the mind when it comes to overcoming health challenges. Ben, it is so great to see you.
Gayle, good to see you too. I'm excited to be here.
So Ben, tell me more about your role in Biohack Yourself.
Well, this is an incredible film because biohacking is becoming more popular these days. Essentially, my definition of biohacking is taking science, new technology, and also ancient healing strategies to create a customized approach to extend our lifespan, to lower inflammation, and to feel good. So when I was asked to be a part of this, it was a no-brainer, and I was really excited about the interview. I take a deep dive into, of course, metabolic health, which is my specialty. And it's really cool allowing these different technologies and options for people to get well and heal their body. There's so many different modalities out there. So the interview was terrific because I got to share about my favorite thing, which is ancient healing strategies. And I'm excited to be a part of it because the amount of speakers they've interviewed are incredible. And just to be a part of this, I think it's going to be a game changer.
And you're actually a living testament to the power of the mind and healing. How did you turn your life around?
Yeah, Gayle, it really started with first a mindset shift before I did anything else. I had a self-image of an obese person. That's the way I viewed myself. That was my whole life growing up as a kid. I was the obese kid. And not just physically obese, I was mentally obese. I was dealing with mental illness and addictions. And I realized that our thoughts are very powerful, and they have a huge influence on our health, our habits, and essentially our results in life. And I took responsibility. I stopped blaming my genetics or slow metabolism. And of course, all that factors into your health, but it's a small percentage. I realized that I'm in control. I'm in the driver's seat. And the second that I had that realization, it was so uplifting and powerful for me, because I stopped being the victim of my history, and I immediately started to become the victor of my destiny. And I started to stack good habits and gain momentum. And of course, all the fitness and the health and nutrition tips came after that. But it started with the mindset shift. I started to really change my thoughts. And I really believe if you change your thoughts, you will change your life.
Let's talk more about biohacking, because it's not just a buzzword. I mean, throughout the docuseries and all the guests that we've interviewed today, we're finding out that it really does work. It might not be one size fits all, but once you find out, and for you, it's reversing metabolic disease.
Yeah, you're correct. It's not one size fits all. And that's exciting, because you could find a customized approach that works for you. There are so many different biohacking devices that you could pay for, and there's also a ton of free biohacks that you can do. Some of the ones that are popular that you could pay for, of course, are sauna therapy, which is heat therapy, which is great for something called vasodilation, where it opens up your blood vessels and allows nutrients and oxygen to deliver to tissues. And that's important, because heart disease is the #1 killer in the United States. And the reason why we see heart disease as a problem is because of something called vasoconstriction, where your blood vessels close up. Well, sauna opens up those blood vessels. So sauna is terrific. Then we have cold plunging, which is super popular these days. Great for the immune system, great for dopamine. It's also great for blood circulation. And cold plunging, again, it's not one size fits all. Somebody just needs 10 or 15 seconds, and somebody else could do 3 or 5 minutes. You got to find your sweet spot. There's red light therapy, which is called photobiomodulation, which is terrific as well for mitochondrial health, inflammation, and pain. And then there's free biohacks. Free biohacks are getting outside in nature, putting your feet on the ground. It's like taking a handful of antioxidants. It's called earthing. And this is, to me, considered a biohack, but it's free, just being outside in nature. Gratitude, which I call vitamin G, to me is a biohack. It lowers inflammation. It activates hormones and chemicals like oxytocin and GABA. And then we have things like intermittent fasting and ketosis. These are also biohacks that can be free as well.
Yeah, I'm so glad you talked about all of these. And by the way, we were showing some video. I am the 5 to 10 seconds in cold water girl. But there are so many other biohacks that my body embraces and absolutely loves. And so, hey, congratulations on being part of this docuseries. It's really exciting to see your face in it, and I can't wait for all of our viewers to tune in.
Your viewers are going to love it. It's an honor to be a part of it, and thank you so much, Gayle.
All right, thank you, Ben. We're going to share Ben's story on BloomTampaBay.com. And up next, the biohacking bestie who also contributed to Biohack Yourself and helps women optimize their biology, minds, and spirits. Bloom will be right back. We are back, deep diving into the new docu-series, Biohack Yourself. And the biohacking bestie, Aggie Lal, who is the author of Biohack Like a Woman, is part of the movement to help people heal. Aggie, it's so great to see you again.
It's so good to see you too. You're a living proof that biohacking works.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. So Aggie, let's talk about your role in the documentary. That must have been so cool to be part of it.
100%. I feel like when I first got into biohacking 6 or 7 years ago, no one even knew what that word is. And I really love that it's becoming more and more of a mainstream concept. It might sound scary, biohacking. Is it like science? Is it, is it something that you eat or do? But ultimately, it's essentially just adjusting your lifestyle and diet so that you can live forever. So my other alternative word is longevity or lifestyle optimization.
And I think more and more of us in that active aging age group start to realize that, man, life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it runs out. So you really want to live your life to the max. And with some of these approaches, especially ones that you share with women, It really works.
100%, and they're super easy. Everything that I mentioned in my book, Biohack Glycoma, is actually free. So that's one of the biggest misconception about biohacking, that you have to be a rich tech guy, you know, and spending all of these money on gadgets. That's not the case. I'm not the type of a biohacker. This is what makes me super unique. I'm not planning on living to 120. I just want to have an amazing quality life. Like, I want to wake up every morning not feeling like I need to have a coffee to get through the day, not getting annoyed at my family, and feeling like I get to do whatever I want. And a lot of times I would get at the end of my week and felt like, honestly, I would just watch TV for the weekend because I'm so exhausted. And so I was able to figure out, how can I get more energy so I can get more live, you know, without trying to even think what's going to happen in 100 years.
And, you know, a lot of what you talk about, especially when it comes to women, is our hormonal cycles. And, you know, even though the ship has sailed for me when it comes to menstruation and cycling like that, still understanding your hormones and keeping them in balance is a game changer.
100%. I feel like women have been absolutely forgotten in the medical industry. And I wish, like, I don't know what kind of support you have gotten in your hormonal journey for the last 20 or 30 years. But all the research has been done by men and non-menstruating women. So we have not given women support during menstruation and pre-perimenopause and perimenopause and menopause. And so we're on our own, and we got so used to feeling bad and struggling with things that we don't even consider it a symptom anymore. Women are heroes in that regard because we often get gaslit in the medical industry. And so understanding that we're not less hairy version of men, that we have a very different hormonal balance, and it fluctuates throughout the month. And even if it doesn't fluctuate because we're in menopause, it's much very different than men, would allow you to just understand that your nutrition and your lifestyle should be different. But sadly, we live in a world that is catered to men, and that makes being a woman a little bit more difficult. And that's why we women have to get together and learn from each other so we can optimize our lifestyle to thrive.
Yeah, and just to answer your question earlier, I was given zero guidance. It really wasn't until I started hosting this show and meeting experts like yourself and taking action and being my own healthcare advocate that I started to deal with change. Because for much of my life, I was exhausted, foggy, you know, emotional roller coaster ride. I mean, you have to white knuckle your way through life and keep doing what you got to do when it comes to work, kids, family, and all the things. But it's terrible that generations of women had to live that way because we were put on the back burner when it comes to our health.
Yeah, and it just makes me very angry when I think that women's health hasn't been a priority for the medical industry, thinking that, you know, it doesn't matter as much, or it wouldn't be that different. Meanwhile, we make up 50% of the population, and arguably our well-being is more important because we are the ones that, you know, create more life on this planet, right? So I get angry, then I get inspired, then I just remember that we shouldn't, like, our birthright is to feel absolutely amazing. And if you're not feeling absolutely amazing in your body, it's time to explore, ideally biohacking, and just kind of help yourself, because I feel like we really deserve to feel good in our bodies, and we deserve to be healthy, to have inner peace, to have a lot of joy, to have energy, to live our life. I mean, I can go on and on.
Well, Aggie, I'm so glad you're part of the movement, and thank you for joining us on Bloom today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for spreading the message. It means the world.
Absolutely. We're going to share Aggie's story on BloomTampaBay.com. And before we go to break, it's time for today's Bloom Trivia question. Glycogen is the way the body stores glucose, better known by what common name? Carbs, sugar, or fat? We'll have the answer later on Bloom. We are back exploring the new docu-series Biohack Yourself, and here with a kid's perspective, we're joined now by Love and Legend Lolly, the children of the creators who brought us this groundbreaking documentary. Hey guys, it's so great to have you on Bloom.
So great to have you interviewing us today.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so cute. I love the suit, I love the dress. You guys are ready to talk. And you've already talked to so many leading experts in health and wellness, I think more than 40. What were some of your favorite experiences?
My experience for Biohack?
Yes.
I liked when I got to go on set, and I like all the cameras on me and my sister. Me and my sister are a wolf pack. That's why we like going everywhere together. So I love going in front of the cameras, but I loved interviewing all the people.
That's so cute. I love the wolf pack. I have a brother too, and he's super cool, and he would always have my back. So what was it like interviewing everybody as part of the documentary?
It was great. When I interviewed, it was nice to know more about biohacking, because at first when my parents were like, oh, we found out about this new word biohacking, let's do a documentary. I was like, wait, what is biohacking? And then they explained it to me, and I'm like, okay. So I'm ready to meet all these experts, and I asked them questions, and they answered, and I was like, wow, this is what biohacking is.
Yeah, and it's really cool because I think as parents we learn there are ways that we can help our children biohack themselves, even by the foods that we eat. Do you have certain foods that you like to eat now that you know more about health?
Well, I like to eat salads, but I'm more like a steak and rice type of guy.
Okay.
But I eat my fruits and my salads, and yeah.
So you're pretty well rounded. How about you, love?
I love Mediterranean diet.
Oh, you're gonna live long with that one. That's always voted the best, best one.
I like sweet potatoes too, because people say that if you eat sweet potatoes, like in Switzerland and those countries, if you eat sweet potatoes, you'll get to live to 100. Like in the Biohack Yourself documentary, he's like, I want my grandma to live 150. I want my dad, mom, sister, dog to live 150.
Yeah, and I think too, we love our family so much, and I have been I tell anyone who will listen, I have 4 daughters that I love so much, and I want to live a long life so I can get to know them and their children. And so what do you think about your mom and dad doing this whole big documentary?
I think it's great because they want to make kids and grown-ups and the whole humanity to be healthy.
And that's really what we need, and it's a lot easier than we think it is. I mean, we can just take little baby steps to feel better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you could do one biohack at a time and then get healthy like slower, and then they take all the supplements every single day, like, and 1, 2 every day.
That's what I do.
And then you'll become healthy faster.
And you'll be like Superman. It'll be great. I love you guys so much. How old are you?
6 and 8.
6 and 8. Man, they grow up so fast. Well, you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you joining us on Bloom. And you can read more about Love and Legend on BloomTampaBay.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. It's time for today's Bloom Trivia question. Glycogen is the way the body stores glucose, better known by what common name? Carbs, sugar, or fat? The answer is sugar. Glycogen comes from carbohydrates, a macronutrient, but it's not technically a carbohydrate. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. So stay healthy, everyone, and I'll see you then. Call now 813-212-6993 to schedule your scan today.